Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us a really exciting guest, Lily Tang Williams. You're running for Congress in New Hampshire. And let me explain how this show came about. I'm a very good friend with Tim Pool. I'm on Tim Cast's show all the time. And for the first time ever, Tim messaged me and he said, I had a guest who did such a good job. I think she'd be perfect for your show to tell her story. That's why you're here. And here's what's so interesting about you and your biography, Lily. As people who watch the show know, my background is with North Korea. I did a book. I went there. I did a book about Kim Jong-il, Dear Reader. I was born in the Soviet Union. But despite knowing a lot about both those two countries, I am very ignorant, or not very, but relatively ignorant about Mao and China. And that's what you grew up with. You were an eyewitness to the Cultural Revolution and to the horrors of Maoism. And you escaped to the United States, just like my family did, although it was a lot easier for us, I'm sure, than for you to escape communist China. Welcome to the show. And I just have a ton of questions. First of all, when did you escape to the States and how did that happen?
It was 1988 on May 11th. I remember that was my happiest day of my life because my horror of my nightmares, like I would be stuck in China forever. I will never be free. So I arrived in Austin, Texas that day, almost evening time. And I got smiling really big, even though my pocket was very shy, only $100.
Yeah.
And could not speak English very well. And I did not have family friends. I was $1,200 in debt to my American sponsor who come to pick me up. And he was a professor at the UT Austin. So that's how I started. And rest is a history.
So where in China did you grow up?
I grew up in Chengdu, Sichuan province. Chengdu is a capital city of Sichuan province. Sichuan is southwestern China, which is next to Tibet. So I was like a valley girl in Chengdu Valley, but next to all the mountains. So I love the mountains and the valleys.
Isn't that where all the pandas are?
Yes, that's the hometown of panda in Sichuan. And they're the national treasures now and used for diplomatic relationship, but they're very cute. They eat lots of bamboos.
Yeah, what people don't realize about the Chinese government, not only does it oppress people, it also oppresses animals. So if you want to have a panda on display in your zoo, you have to pay the Chinese government a lot of money. And my understanding is any offspring they reproduce is property of the Chinese government because it's important for them to keep the panda population low because it's a revenue source for them instead of trying to save, this wonderful creature. So, can you describe when you were a kid, when Maoism was in effect in China, can you describe I know it's very hard for Americans to wrap their heads around, but what's it like living in a country? Was he how did you think of him as a kid? Did you think of him as like a god?
Yes, I was brainwashed to believe Mao was like God figure because in the government schools, since I was 7, and it was still in the middle of Cultural Revolution, but the peak was over, so he reopened the schools. But we still had to chant his name. We hold his little red book. Have you seen that? I bought one from Amazon. Mao's little red book. You hold in your hands, you go to school, you have to chant every day to say, long live Chiang Mao, 10,000 years, double 10,000 years, another 10,000 years, just add all your number together. I never asked questions. I just chanted. I was brainwashed to join his organization called the Young Pioneer, where you wear the red scarf. And I later joined the Red Guard because I was categorized by his oppressor versus oppressed, groups. I was a red class child. And so I was able to join those organizations. But my friend who belonged to Black class families, they could not even join. They could not wear the red scarf. So, after years of indoctrination, he was a godlike figure. So to tell you how brainwashed I was, I would see him talking to me from the sky, like smiling behind the clouds. And then when we burn fire to do Chinese stir fry under a big wok, sometimes I see his face, my name in the fire. I was just child. So of course, the very religious, feeling about him. But then all the other true religions, like Christianity, our Buddhist temples, all were closed. No other religions.
Let's talk a little bit, because Americans don't really have an idea of the Chinese caste system that Mao introduced. North Korea, they have, it's called Sangban. And in North Korea, how it works is they sat down everyone in the country, they interviewed every single person, and they assigned you a caste. If you were favorable, if you were wavering, and then the hostile caste. You weren't told what your caste was, and this determines whether you can go to school, where you live, so on and so forth. And it sounds like this is very similar to what you experienced. If your family were farmers or something, that's great, you trustworthy. If your family were landowners, you're the devil, and your children are damned for eternity.
Exactly right. You were born like guilty if you were Black family. So Mao used classic Marxism to say people are fundamentally two groups: oppressor versus oppressed. Sounds familiar in today's America. And then he put the Chinese people, 1 billion of them, under 10 classes. 5 Black classes belong to oppressor group, and the 5 red classes belong to oppressed. So if you were born, like, let's say your parents, your grandparents, or landowners, and also, rich, very rich, wealthy, owns properties, and also some very subjective categories like rightist, bad influencers, counter-revolutionaries. Who define those subjective terms? Of course, the party and the supreme leader, Mao. So you could be party official, but all of a sudden you were categorized as rightist because you disagree with some, like a bad economic policies, which is starve 40 million people to death. Then you were classified as basically the enemies of the state and Black class. Then, like a President Liu Shaoqi, who became president after Mao's failed central planning economical policies caused mass famine. I did not know all that truth until I come to this country, because we were lied to. It's like, 3 years natural disasters, But because Liu Shaoqi wanted to reboot China's economy, Mao was marginalized a little bit, and he got very upset. So he started a cultural revolution with purpose in mind to purge the political enemies within the Communist Party, which is one dictatorship party. Then he used our most vulnerable young people, called the Red Guards, urban youth, to shut down schools, doing political struggles every day, and going after those enemies. So when Mr. Liu lost his power, house arrested, finally even died alone, and like other terrible living conditions, Mao become godlike. And then he sent his Red Guards followers to the countryside, another campaign called Down to the Mountain campaign, re-educated by peasants, because the Red Guards were finished. Mao threw them under the bus. They were becoming violent. So he sent them to countryside. My 3 uncles went to remote areas of China for 10 years. And then Mao moved back to Beijing, become the #1 leader again, and continue his cultural revolution until the day he died, 1976. I was 12 years old. 12 years old.
So some of the horrors of the Cultural Revolution are only now kind of becoming understood, because it was very much kept quiet, within China and internationally. At one point, there were certain villages where they were literally eating rich people, because of hunger and cannibalism, but also because everyone had been so trained to believe that the wealthy are the reason you're hungry, that it's appropriate to murder them and kind of dismember them. Was food a difficult thing for you growing up? Like, how bad did it hit your village, or where you were living? Sorry, that wasn't a village, a city.
Well, yeah, we were in the cities. Just think about, we were inside the cities, a capital city, and we were starving. We live on food rationing coupons by the local government based on my mom, dad's like positions inside the state factory, inside of the Communist Party. And even though they were illiterate, working poor, they're supposed to be workers' rule, right? According to Karl Marx. No, you actually were at the bottom of the food chain because you were not the top officials and you were illiterate. And the countryside, 70% of peasants, they were worse off. I heard during the mass famine, Sichuan people in the countryside were eating each other's dead children's. They could not eat their own. They swapped children's bodies. Cannibalism existed. Hey, and what we did not know. And in the cities, I was so hungry because my mom, dad were illiterate, very low positions. And we got, let's give you an idea, family of 5 per month. We were eating 2.8 pounds of all proteins a month. That's include all the meat, all the eggs. So if you're lucky, your birthday comes, you get 1 boiled egg. That's your lucky day because that's your birthday. We have to save for that too. So I was raised by my grandmother because they couldn't afford, state factory daycare. My grandmother babysitted me. My uncle just told me to say, hey, let's go trap some rats. There were some rats running around in the community housing, which is very poor living condition, right? Like my family is like 8 families share 1 bathroom. But my grandma's like, I don't know how many families there share one like big hole on the ground. And but after 1 rat, we caught 1 rat, we ate it and, suck on the bones, not much meat. And they ran out too. So no more rats left. Kind of like Venezuela today, you ran out of animals to eat. Cats and dogs, don't exist.
Hey guys, Progressive helps you get a great rate on car insurance, even if it's not with them. They have this nifty comparison tool that puts rates side by side, so you choose a rate and coverage that works for you. So let's say you're interested in lowering your rate on your car insurance. Visit progressive.com to get a quote with all the coverages you want. You'll see Progressive's rate, and then their tool will provide options from other companies, all lined up and easy to compare. So that all you have to do is choose the rate and coverages you like. Progressive gives you options so you can make the best choice for you. You could be looking forward to saving money in the very near future. More money for, say, I don't know, a pair of noise-canceling headphones, an Instapot, more puzzles, whatever brings you joy. Get a quote today at progressive.com. It's one small step you could do today that could make a big impact on your budget tomorrow. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. My fellow Americans, if you have an IRA, 401k, or savings account, things are getting scary out there. The government has already printed more money in the last 2 years than the previous 100 combined. The national debt just hit a record $30 trillion, and inflation is the highest we've seen since 1982. It's only a matter of time before we have to pay the piper. If you have $50,000 or more in retirement savings, your money could be at risk. Call my friends at Goldco to see how you can protect your retirement with gold and silver before it's too late. Call 866-443-1876 or go to malicelikesgold.com, and they will give you up to $10,000 in free silver when you open an account. That's malicelikesgold.com. And it's true. Let's get back to the show. Can you explain to Americans what it's like to be that hungry all the time? Because none of us have any idea what that feels like.
Well, that you could not concentrate. Maybe that's why I have high metabolism today. If I'm hungry, I still cannot concentrate today. But it's every 1 hour you were hungry, your stomach was growling because we could not even afford baking fat. There's no oil, there's no fat in your body. So you had like rice, basically rice, and with vegetables, but sometimes you don't have enough dry rice. So you will drink porridge. So you like 1 cup of rice, boil a big pot of porridge. How long is that gonna last? You can just like drink water, then you last about 1 hour, you're hungry again. So my most painful memory as a child, it was hunger, and just trying to figure out what I can eat, and I remember for Chinese New Year once a year, we will get some red pocket money for Chinese New Year tradition. I will save that money and to buy school supplies and the candies. And if I buy 10 candies, I will save a couple for my best friends, because that's like a luxurious thing you give to your friend when your stomach is hungry. Hey, you want a piece of candy? So it just and as the oldest child out of three, I have two younger brothers. I was supposed to be responsible adult in the family, like cook rice, clean, and also take care of my sick mom who was always ill. So I had to make sacrifice. I was urged to make a sacrifice to save food for my two younger brothers and for my mother, who needs better nutrition, cannot be starving because she was sick all the time. She got to eat the best of the food. So I mean, I don't know. I was constantly just like hungry. And the worst situation comes, my mom, dad will send me to the street market to pick up trash, like people who sell vegetables, for example, and just drop some on the road and kind of not very great, old and rotten, and pick those up and bring home to clean up, to cook. And you don't have oil to cook, no bacon fat, you boil them. And then you put on top of rice with the Sichuan pepper sauce, which is spicy, that make your food easy to swallow.
What was your reaction the first time you saw an American supermarket?
Oh, I could not believe it. I was totally just in like a shocking, like a beautiful, spacious, and clean. How I'm going to pick products? There's so many choices. If I go to buy shampoo, there's like so many brands, so many prices. I don't know what to pick, because we were used to one brand of government brand of everything. There's no choice. It was poor quality. You ran out too. Like toilet paper ran out. So you learn to go to bathroom as a girl, no toilet papers, until you have to use the toilet paper for number two. In the countryside, in the Sichuan, because we have lots of bamboos, people use bamboo shoes for number two. You have to sharpen it, then smooth it out, so that can scrape your bottom. It's like so after I come to this country, it's like so light and bright and so many choices. I learned how to choose. You look at brand, you look at quality, you look at the volume, you come up with best deal for yourself. I had to get used to that. And once I get used to that, I love it, because I exercise that personal choice with my money. I feel empowered.
But it's also interesting that the worst shampoo you get at the supermarket, 99-cent white rain, is still going to be better than whatever you had, back in China. It's like, what if I make the wrong choice? The wrong choice is still going to be a big improvement.
We did not have shampoos. We had the soap. So we had some powders and stuff. But I just remember my hair was long. My mom helped me to wash my hair. She hurt me so much because we did not have a conditioner, right? So your hair get tangled. I remember sometimes I will have tears in my eyes because my mom is like brushing my hair, really pulling really hard. It's like, Mom, hurts. That's why maybe we'll kind of encourage just go have short hair. And we were urged to have a political correct hairstyle anyway. Can I have a hair laid down like this past your shoulder unless you're washing hair? But when you go to school, you have to do ponytails, pigtails, or no unisex, like ugly short hair, like boys. And because you're not supposed to look pretty, you're not supposed to look sexy, no makeup, no bright color clothing, all have to be PC, because those represent the proletarians. And if you do otherwise, you are capitalist. It's not PC.
One of the things in North Korea that they were very concerned about is people having spare time. Because they were like, oh, if people have spare time, they're going to start talking. They're going to start criticizing the government. So they made it a point that when you wake up, even when you're a kindergartner, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, they know what you're doing. Your whole day is planned for you by the government. Was that similar to what you experienced?
Yeah. Yes. Is that funny? All the communists basically use the same kind of. Yeah. And my mom, dad, okay, everybody had to work for government. If you're a mother, you have lots of young babies, you have no choice. You have to work for the government. Of course, everybody has a guaranteed job, but it's not the job you want to, and keep. But you have to work, and you work 6 days a week, Mondays through Saturdays. The only later time we had was Sunday. You had to wash your clothes, do laundries and doing cleaning. And as a school, we go to school like 6 days a week, and from like 8 to 5.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so you don't have nature time. You don't have time for and the other like civil activities. Like, of course, you have no church go to, no temples go to, but how about just have fun, sitting down, rest, and like even talk to your neighbors. So you were kept very busy. We had tons of homework, and my mom dad worked 6 days a week, and so our apartment, my dad's apartment by his state factory is next to my junior high school and high school. Every morning, it's like a concentration camp you saw in the Nazi movies. 6:30 in the morning, still dark in the winter. The big loudspeaker come on. It plays this revolutionary music very loud. It's like da 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 da. Time to wake up. Time to go to school. Time to go to work. Serve the motherland. And you cannot sleep in, so everybody jump out of bed and get ready. And my dad had to take a public bus to go to work, and so he had to get into bus.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second, because I don't think Americans appreciate this, because I heard this with my own ears in Pyongyang. Here, you go to work, you have an alarm clock, you wake up, you go to ready. In these countries, in Pyongyang and in where you grew up, the loudspeakers are public on the street because everyone wakes up at the same time. They blast the music, time to get the F up, and everyone in the whole city gets up at the same time because under communism, everyone's the same, and you're all working together for the glory of the revolutionary fatherland.
Yes, exactly. Your individuality don't exist. Your individual choice freedom are alien concept to you. I had no idea about any truth because we were told the whole world is like this. We should be grateful to have some rice to eat because Taiwanese people were starving to death. And imperialist Americans are really bad. They're taking over the world. So we were learned to demonize other countries and demonize all the other people. We were even told, don't smile like ugly Americans. We cannot smile anytime we want to smile. I was born a very happy child. When I wanted to smile, it's like people criticize me. Why are you so happy? People are suffering in the world. So I become straight red. I was smart enough to learn my public face and my private to myself are two different things. So I would say, because Mao is talking to me, I'm very happy. I'm speaking to him. I'm going to serve my country. I'm going to exercise. Everything is political science. You cannot talk about anything personal. We were forbidden to date, to talk about love, forbidden to talk about romantic love until I was in college. We all had crushes on each other in the middle school, high school. Keep that to yourself, not PC to express it. If you date and write a love letter to a girl in my middle school, you go straight to principal's office and you'll be criticized, and you're going to have a little record in your student file to say he was not politically correct. He wanted to date this girl and show her love letter. And that boy who went to principal office never smiled again. Who knows what he was taught? To just, hey, we'll focus on serve the motherland. Be loyal to them, to Mao, to the party. Leave your personal desire, personal feelings, individual expressions, all not PC. Hide it. Don't express it, or you get into trouble.
Another thing they have in North Korea, which I think they got from the Chinese, or I don't remember who started, if it was Kim Il Sung or Mao, was they have these criticism and self-criticism sessions, which is very much part of Maoism. In North Korea, how it works is you're either with your whole office or your school or your neighborhood, and once a week you have to get up and you say, "Hi, I'm Michael. I was late to school on Tuesday." And then you have to criticize everyone else. You have to say, "I saw Lily. She was cheating on a test." And then everyone has to have something to say about themselves and about everyone else. So when people in America are like, why don't they just rise up? They don't understand that everyone is spying on each other, and not secretly, but publicly, constantly denouncing one another. Is that something you had to experience as well?
Well, my childhood memory, unfortunately, started during the peak of Mao's Cultural Revolution in this public square. And there was huge struggle sessions for the Black class families. And so they would be like red guards, right? Hold their face up like this and say, down with Black families, and make them to denounce themselves, apologize for, so they were born Black classes. You have to apologize for that. and also you were guilty by association. So you might be red child, you love Mao, you want to wear the red scarf, but because your parents are black classes, so you have to come out to say, okay, I apologize for my black families. I'm gonna change my last name to draw the tie, cut the tie with my families, and I denounce them for their ugly, capitalist past, and I'm gonna change my last name from Tang to Wang. How many teenagers did that during the cultural revolution? Change their names so they can be read again, they can be treated nice again, and some watch their families tortured to death in front of their own eyes, and live with their guilt all their life. I think this guy went on YouTube talk about that. He never marries. He lives with the guilt. He goes to see his mom, talk to her every day because she was tortured to death by ray guards, front of his own eyes. And he was 16 years old. Learning how useful it is, and the young people just were naive and don't know. So it's called traditionally called struggle sessions for Black families. But in schools, after we went back to schools, that style just continues. I was a red child. I have nothing to apologize, even though my grandma went through struggle sessions because her dead husband, my grandma married first husband was like an outlaw country leader. Maybe that's where my fire is from. For my grandmother and granddad never met. And he was supposed to be killed by his own man. But the Communist Party said, your dead husband must be counter-revolutionary. How did he die? We need to investigate him. Same time, my grandma had to go through struggle sessions to apologize, to self-criticize, to dig into her past. But she did one thing. She said, no, he was not counter-revolutionary. He killed by his own man. So after 1 year long struggle sessions, they found out, my grandfather was killed by his own man. So my grandma was smart enough to marry another step-grandfather of a worker. So she became red class. So because of that I become red child. But why should I have to apologize? But I was told to apologize for any incorrect thought in my mind. So you better to be smart to say, I don't have any incorrect political thought. I love Mao. I love the party. Even though inside of me, I wanted to look pretty. I wanted to have more food. I was asking questions myself. It's like, what is it like actually living in Taiwan, in other countries? But I could not ask questions. It's self-censored because you have to write diary as student every night to apologize and to also tell people, what do your neighbors say? What did your family say that are not PC? You need to report to your teachers. And they read your diary next day. So I had some brain left. It's like, I had better say something all PC, so I can move up and join Young Pioneer, Red Guard. And I was a good writer. They would read my articles. But so basically it's all self-censorship. But I was truly brainwashed too. It's like I was doing all the right things. I just had to also protect myself and protect my family.
Folks, free email services like Gmail and Yahoo aren't really free. You pay with your privacy. Your business plan, Google has it. Your medical records, Yahoo can sell them to drug companies. We should all be concerned about email surveillance and the risks that come with it. That's why so many people have been using StartMail. It makes you feel safe again. StartMail keeps your email private, period. Every email can be encrypted, even if the recipient doesn't use encryption. And when you delete an email in StartMail, unlike these other sites, it's gone forever. And they use their own servers, not Amazon's, which means they can't be put out of business like Parler. Switching to StartMail is seamless. You can easily transfer all your current email data, so there's no starting from scratch. StartMail is backed by the most stringent privacy laws in the world. Your cybersecurity has never been more at risk. Email snoops and scammers are taking advantage of the pandemic, with phishing having skyrocketed in the last year. You can take control of your privacy with StartMail before it's too late. Start by securing your email privacy with StartMail. Sign up today. You get 50% off your first year. Go to startmail.com/you're welcome. That's START mail with a T, STARTmail.com/you're welcome for 50% off your first year. Startmail.com/you're welcome. Guys, Michael Malice here, and I'm excited to tell you about Sheath's underwear, newest underwear, the limited edition Malice designed dynamite pair. Use promo code Malice. You get 20% off at Sheath Underwear. What makes Sheath so unique is their dual pouch technology. One part for one part of your male anatomy, another part for the other part of your male anatomy. It's the most comfortable underwear you'll ever wear. And I say this because I'm in Sheath 24/7. That's right. Even though in the shower, I'm in my Sheath. Support the underwear that supports you. To go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Malice to get 20% off. And you can get the new Malice pair. Dave Smith doesn't have a pair of underwear. No one wants that. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, I don't think people in the West have any understanding of how pervasive these systems are and how much that they think it's just you go to school and you learn stupid things about Chairman Mao. And if that was the extent of it, who cares, right? Oh, I go to school and I hear about Mao, I go home and I watch TV. We'd all be fine with that. It would not be an issue. But the extent to which any kind of relationship, husband and wife, mother and child, co-workers, that is a threat. Because when you have two people making a bond, that means maybe they're going to come together against the party or against the country or against Mao, and they can't have that. So any kind of bond that they can break is done, and it's done publicly because it's to show everyone a lesson. Listen, if we need you to turn on your mother, you're going to do it, and you're going to be happy to do it.
Yeah, people need to realize that communist Marxist is about destroying nuclear families.
Yes.
Husband, wives were censored words. You see left today want to control words and cancel everybody, everything. But I saw that before in China. I mentioned that too, the similarities. They control their words. Let's say husband were considered to be capitalist words. My mom, dad call each other my male comrade, my female
No,
comrade.
really? Seriously?
Yes. And all my lovers, they would prefer you call each other lovers. You can have like communal people, like you have lovers, but you don't have a nuclear family structure like a husband and wife. And also that, and we were told that your parents are dear, but the Chairman Mao is more dear.
Yeah.
You have to love. Love was all collective sense. That's why you cannot talk about individual romantic love. It was a banned word. And it's sick. And if I want to sing a songs like love songs from Taiwan, like shortwave radio, you could get into bad situation. Say why are you singing the rotten songs? They call the rotten songs because they were talking about romantic love, man, the woman, and the beautiful sceneries from Taiwan. But we could not even listen to that. We could do it middle night, listen to shortwave radio. But then if you get caught, if a policeman come, then you can get in trouble. So you might just turn off before somebody could come to search you. Remember, Red Guards were searching door to door. They were looting private properties because Mao said, let's get rid of 4 old culture, custom, habits, and ideas. So they would search anything. Oh, like my tie-dye shirt I'm wearing today. You better not wear that. Or traditional Chinese sexy dress. Do not wear that. Those are all deemed to be the capitalist lifestyle. And you could go to labor camps. If they find something in your house you're not supposed to have. So before the looting happens by the Red Guards, and the people were burn stuff, burn books, family pictures, and even the beautiful traditional silk clothes if you were the Black families. It was like you could not live in peace. You could not live off the grades. They went door to door.
Let's talk about these camps. So I'm sure, did you know people who just vanished overnight? And if so, did you know what was being done to them, or did you just know that they went away?
Well, in my 8-family community row housing, and all subsidized, by my dad's state factory. 8 families share 1 bathroom. I told you about that. It was very, very primitive. We had one neighbor just disappeared. And when I say, where is he? And people say, shh, shh. They all were whistling, like whispering to each other. It's like, I'm not even allowed to ask that question. I don't know what happened to him, even today. Another awful Chinese memory is that when I was little, it's one guy jumped into this community water wheel 20 feet deep in my grandma's community courtyard. I was so scared and shocked. He looks very pale, top naked, float on top of the water, And we could not use that water well for a long time because they had to disinfect it. I did not even want to ask questions. I was just scared. It's just in my head. Like when you have a bad memory, you want to hide it, like a sweep under the rug. Years later, I found out from my uncle, who was a Red Guard, went to countryside for 10 years. He said, that guy is a part of the Black families. He committed suicide. He could not handle the torture, the pressure, the stress anymore. He killed himself. Think of my two memories of childhood. One guy is dead, and the struggle sessions, those guys later went to get publicly executed in the military trucks with Red Guards behind them and soldiers behind them. It's like for years, after I come to this country, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not political. I just say, I come to this free country and I just want to live in freedom, have a comfortable middle-class life and focus on my own business, make money, raise my children. It took me 20 years to become independent thinker, to actually dig into my childhood, to remember those, why, what happened. I guess because I found out the truth about the Communist Party, about the Cultural Revolution, about how many people died and how many people were eating each other's children's body in Sichuan. I just feel like it's time for me to step up to tell my stories.
Let me ask you another question. So a lot of times we're taught things as kids and we don't think about it until we're an adult. And then you realize, wait a minute, this was stupid. This is something I was lied to as a kid. And let me give you one example. The great leader Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, he had a growth on the back of his neck. So he was always photographed from this angle. And that growth was too close to like the nerves or something. So they couldn't take it away. And it got bigger and bigger. So I heard different accounts about whether North Korean people knew about this. So I talked to a refugee and I go, did you know that Kim Il-sung, the great leader, had this growth in the back of his neck? And she goes, yeah, we knew. When an actor played him in a movie, they would have that in the back. And she goes, it was an old war injury when he was, fighting the wicked Jap devils. And I go, why would a war wound get bigger throughout your life? And she just sat there and she's like, oh, this was a lie. And I never, she never even questioned it, but she just bought it. There must have been many things that you took at face value. And then when you look back, you're like, how did I ever believe this? This was ridiculous. Can you give me some examples?
Well, of course, I knew at 12, Mao was not God because he died. Yes. And that's when I started asking a question. First time in my life at 12 years old, preteen, ask questions. How did he die? Who lied to me? And I wanted to search for truth. That's why I worked so hard to go to best university in China to study law. That was my first wake-up moment. And the second moment, when I was in China, and I met American exchange student who told me about America because, after Deng Xiaoping economy opened up, which I supported, was wonderful. We were going through some cultural renaissance, but still very much, like a civilianist police state. So in order to talk to foreigner, I had to register to go to his dormitory. Then he told me about the Declaration of Independence. So I had that ignited moment when he told me, we held this truth to be self-evident. All men are created equal. And I even don't understand that concept. What do you mean all men are created equals? Like our rights come from our creator, not from the government. And you can be Chinese, yellow, and woman, but you have this, natural rights. Nobody can take away. My light bulb came on. And at the same time, I knew I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Yeah.
I cannot tell anybody this is what this foreigner told me. Because I had to register to go see him.
Because now you're a spy. If you're talking to a foreigner about foreign ideas, you're a spy.
Yeah, but he put individual rights, liberty into my head. And that was my second moment. It's like, if I someday have to escape China, I need to come to this great country. Sounds great. And they, of course, took me 20 years to wake up in this country. I think the number one time I woke up, realized my entire life was a lie.
Yeah.
It was about the mass famine. I did not know about the mass famine until years later in America, because we were told 3 years natural disasters. And my husband is from Texas. He's kind of libertarian heart. He told me, why did you believe their lies, Lily? Go read some books. It's not 3 years natural disasters. I start to do research. I start to basic question my entire 23 years of education in China, life in China. And I remember first book I read was Milton Friedman, Free to Choose.
Oh, wow.
That just blew my mind off, because when I was in the United States, I was saying government should do this, should do that. My husband said, you were fighting against government. You wanted to freedom. Why are you still saying government should do everything? I said, who is going to do it? I was so dumb. I had no idea. My English was
Wait, I love the idea that if the government isn't in charge of food, we're all going to starve, right?
But that's what I believe. Government was the only solution to all our society problems. They were the authority figures, because I did not know there were other options until I read Milton Friedman, Free to Choose. It's like, wow, there's a free market capitalism can be doing a lot better than believe your authoritarian government who want to just control the mandates. And I took 20 years wake up as all those milestone moments. I feel like it's so critical for me to tell my stories to the whole world, because I see the rise of this totalitarianism in the world. They are going after the communist style. Control.
I tweeted out not that long ago that corporate America is doing a far better job of spreading Maoism than the CCP ever dreamed of in America. And one example of this, and I want to know if you agree, what I felt was you had these business calls or these law school Zoom calls, and every person has to get up and say, I'm John and I'm a racist. And then Deborah has to say, I'm Deborah and I'm a racist. And I'm like, these are struggle sessions. These are saying just because of who I was born, even though I'm not prejudiced against anyone and I make it a point to treat people with respect, I'm still a racist and there's nothing I could do to change that. I'm like, this is straight up Maoism. Am I right? Did that remind you of the struggle sections you experienced?
Yes, and I summarize actually 12 features of Mao's Cultural Revolution and tactics and features. I've been giving talks cross country about that. And people actually can check box, every one of them, with what's happening to this America. You can call that DEI, they call it diversity, equity, including training. Or you can call 1619 project. You can call emotional responsiveness, the CRT, critical race theory. It's all identity politics. It's all Mao style divide and conquer. You treat each other as enemies. So you cannot be united so the communists can do their cultural revolutions. That's how simply I see it. I saw the writings on the wall, especially 2020. I could not even sleep at night. And my friend who also survived cultural revolution told me, Lily, we got to do something. This is like a Chinese style cultural revolution on American soil. And all the divisions, all the cancel culture, everybody's apologizing. And the professors and regular white people who are maybe business people, they're censored, they're quiet because they're afraid to be called racist. They can lose their jobs and careers and business. It's like, this is a time not to be quiet, not to be nice, because I can tell people this is more than about your race and skin color. Yep. It's more than about your jobs and careers. This is about cultural revolution to destroy America, because communists always say America as the biggest threat, stand in the way, and the corporations are doing that because also they are in bed with a bigger and bigger government, and they have agenda for us. They have plans for us. It's like, hell no. I subject to those for my 24 years of my life. I will never subject to that.
Hey guys, you ever feel like you're being followed around the internet and maybe advertisers know a bit too much about you? So our sponsor, IPVanish VPN, helps you take back your privacy. It helps you become anonymous on the internet. What is it? It's a VPN, virtual private network, which is a tool that helps you browse the internet. So you can use it on your computer, tablet, phone, whatever. All your data is encrypted when you use a VPN. What you're reading, what you're watching, what you're searching, whatever it is you're doing. That's important because what you're doing on the internet is no one's business but yours. For listeners of the show, they're offering 65% off the annual plan. It's only $375 a month. Super easy to use. IPVanish, turn it on with one click. It runs in the background to help protect you while you're browsing the web. If you run into a problem, no problem. 24/7 support from IPVanish by email, chat, and phone. All you have to do, go to ipvanish.com/malice and use promo code malice. MALICE. That's me. You get 65% off. The annual plan is only $44.99 with our discount. And IPVanish is the best of the best. They got a 4.7 out of 5 on Trustpilot with over 6,000 reviews. Just go to ipvanish.com/malice to start protecting your data online. Guys, it's 2022. Let's make this a great year. And what's going to make the year really great for your health and for your wallet is quitting smoking. I love being able to have Fume, F-U-M, as a sponsor because it's a great stopgap. A lot of people can't go cold turkey. This replaces the habit people have of that hand-to-mouth motion, that repetitive motion that smokers become addicted to. What is a Fume? It's a wood inhaler handcrafted in Canada to replace the cigarette or a vape. You insert one of their cores at the end. There's no smoke. There's no vape, no nicotine. It looks like a steampunk vape. If you head to breathefume.com/malice, breathefum.com/malice, use promo code malice, you get 10% off your order. You're going to save on cigarettes you aren't buying. You're not going to have to buy breath mints. Your teeth won't be as yellow when you save on your initial purchase of Fume. That's 10% off your entire order when you head to breathefum.com/malice and use code malice. Let's get back to the show. One of the things Americans don't know about, and even I don't know much about, is Madame Mao. So Mao had a wife who was even crazier and even more of a communist than him. And after he died, there was the Gang of Four, 3 men and her. And basically, it was their fault, not Mao, that the Cultural Revolution went so wrong. When you were a kid, was she like praised in the media, or was all the praise just directed toward Chairman Mao himself?
Well, the praise is toward the Mao, but the Mao also rely on his wife, Jiang Qing, and Gang of Four to carry out this massive propaganda. They really literally take over Chinese culture, art, music, songs. Peking opera, have you heard that before? It's very high-pitched noise singing, and we were censored to listen to all the other music. We had to listen to Chairman Mao's Peking opera. It goes like a that's high-pitched singing. Oh, it hurts your ears. But we have to sing like that every day. And I sing that very well. And I dress up like little red soldiers and like army and to sing, to can imitate their moves, their sayings. So we were not allowed to be even pretty little girls. They want to look like boys and dress like PLA soldiers and doing all the revolutionary moves. So I was very good at it. But once a while, I hear this classic music. Oh, it was like 1 minute during the red news break. It was just so beautiful, so touching my heart. And my tears will come out when I listen to it because it's something I never listened to before. So that's why today, when you see people are censoring comedy shows and censor your words and the mobs dominate the culture, it's the same thing. Same thing. We need the majority, silent majority now to speak up, to say, this is cultural revolution. You are mobs. And you want to cancel other people, you're Marxist. We're not going to apologize to you. We're going to stick to freedom of speech because that's our guaranteed right.
What kind of reception have you gotten from American audiences when you start talking like this? Because Americans have this idea, and Westerners, not just Americans, because there's this idea that Asians are like all over there. They're all weird, they write vertically. So, one of the reasons I've been fighting so hard on behalf of the North Korean people is because when they see it, Americans often see a Korean person on TV, they think, oh, it's an Asian problem. But when they see a white person discussing this, they hear it in a different way because we like to think it's over there and it can't happen here. So what kind of response have you gotten when you've been spreading this sort of message?
Remember, most time I'm speaking to conservatives. And they should know history better than lots of people in the middle or on the left side, Democrat Party side. But they were totally shocked.
Yeah, they don't know anything.
They don't know. But when I listed 12 tactics and features, they were like nodding their head, yes, yes, yes. They were terrified. Then they feel depressed at the end. What should we do, Lily? I said the time is now to fight. Don't worry about your job. Don't worry about your career. I know your time will come if you have to strategize your timing. But sure, if they make you to go to DEI trainings in the work corporations to apologize for being white, especially you white males, like you are racist, you were born racist, your children are born racist. This is more than about race. This is about destroying American systems, cultural values, constitutional republic, and take over by Marxists. And they're communists. And communist China is part of this. I have been attacked on my campaign trail by all the pro-CCP people. They trying to accuse me, and I am the Chinese spy now. Don't vote for this woman. I just laugh, because I trying to tell my personal story to say, I have seen this all before in China. Censorship, division, and apologizing, struggle sessions. And it's not about skin color, or it's not even about—
They don't care. It's just an excuse. Whatever tool they have. Yeah.
Yes. And so if you're worried about this, I'm going to lose my job. Okay, you're going to lose your job anyway. Everybody were working for the government. You're going to lose your children. They belong to the state. They have no say in what they're going to learn and how to be brainwashed by the state. And you're going to lose your business anyway. Billionaires disappear in China today. Jack Ma disappeared for a few months because he criticized Chinese government regulation on economics. Some economic policies he disagreed with. He never say anything that bad. Just criticize. No matter how rich you are, billionaires, take notice. You will be thrown under the bus. And because, they tell you how to manage your business, how much you should contribute to the economy, and where you should list your companies. Otherwise, you know what? No matter how rich you are, you can lose everything overnight.
One of the things I was very surprised in North Korea, but this was, again, 10 years ago. This wasn't when you grew up. So things I think might have been a little more liberal in a sense, was how much of a sense of humor everyone had. So they were, oh yeah. So what I did, so about very well that the North Koreans hate the Japanese. They hate them. They hate them worse than Americans. The Japanese are really the devils. So I just took every racist joke I know and I said Japanese, and they were crying laughing. So I said to my guide, I said, how do you stop a Japanese man from drowning? Take your foot off his neck. And she's like, oh, but she had a lot of jokes too. And it wasn't very grim and serious. When you were growing up, were people telling jokes, or was it really kind of this intensity 24/7?
It's a politics in your face 24/7.
Wow.
The only jokes we heard were the propaganda show on CCTV. Remember, they control all TVs, all radios, all reporters, all journalists. So it's only allowed PC jokes, we're told. So political comedy never exists in China and do not exist today. You dare to mock your political leaders, you go disappear immediately. They might label you mentally ill. When they lock up artists, musicians, and the comedies, they call you mentally ill. So your work is not worth noticing. Just because your work is not PC, I don't think I truly, really, I was oppressed. I was depressed, oppressed. I had to just trying to survive. That's why I call myself like a stray rat. All I wanted is survive. But luckily, I never thought about like killing myself. I had friends who really thought about killing themselves if they had no end out of China. They could not come out. They could not leave. Even today's Chinese young people, they were very, depressed. They call the lay down movement. They don't want to do anything. They have no meaning in life. They just want to lay down. They don't want to participate. And then Xi Jinping, the new chairman, called them lazy. They're lazy. You need to limit how many hours a day to play your video games, because you need to participate in our course. His course is China Dream. China Dream. See, lots of Americans are naive about the China's infiltration of the world, especially into Western democracy countries. How are we naive to allow Chinese government-funded Confucius Institute infiltrated into our schools and college campuses? And they bought AMC, and they're buying land, they're buying corporations. Lots of those corporations from China, they are state corporate enterprises, and they're related to PLA even, or owned by former PLA officials and generals. Regular small mom-pop small business, which is existed under Deng Xiaoping's opening up reform, those people, they don't have that much say in anything. They have to bribe all those government officials in order just to have their products made or like even export. So we have to be careful who we're dealing with. They are in this country everywhere. They infiltrate into Chinese churches.
Oh yeah.
And Chinese news media, American newspapers, and they have YouTubers work for Chinese government, glorify China. Think about that. It's really cultural war right now. I hope the justice will prevail. The American freedom in the world will prevail.
After Mao died in 76, did the personality cult surrounding him kind of recede a bit in China?
Yes, Deng Xiaoping was more practical. He did not want to be Mao. He said, well, Mao is human being. That's another my wake-up point. Is Mao is human being. His 10 years cultural revolution was a mistake.
Oh, wow. So, they admitted it.
They admit it. They don't even want to say that today. But Deng Xiaoping and his regime admitted. That's why he said, let's get some people rich first, because China's economy was just on the verge of collapse and people were still starving in the countryside. So Deng Xiaoping said, let's reboot our economy. So he said, let some people get rich first. In my lifetime, first time I saw my neighbor left state factory job to start his restaurant business. And he's the first one got rich. And the first time he bought a motorcycle instead of old-fashioned used bicycle, he was so happy to show off to everybody in the neighborhood because we had very, very poor neighborhood. So it was great. And the 80s in China was best time. I was in college. It was the cultural renaissance. That's when 1989, the students took to street, right?
June 4th, 1989, Tiananmen Square, yeah.
Yeah, but before that, we were in college. We were talking about potential political reforms of China. What kind of country should we want? One-party dictatorship, or we should have democracy? We should have, separation of powers and like Western countries, and people should vote. All that just got shut down. I was in this country in 1989. If I was in China, I think maybe I could never leave because I could be joining the students and get locked up,
or killed.
It was just very sad. Or killed. I could be a human rights lawyer, disappeared, 30 of them, and their families too. It's like most dangerous career you can have in China. It's a citizen journalist who report truth. They're in jail. Some of them are dying and starving, and human rights lawyers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Americans don't realize they have collective punishment. So not only will they take you, they'll take your whole family, or they'll make your family turn on you, especially publicly. Which is
yes.
I cannot talk to my family about politics, what I'm doing in this country at all, because they might actually criticize me to say, you should love your country. They don't understand my country now is America.
Yeah.
Trying to save my country.
Guys, I want to take a second to talk to you about Crowdhealth. This is a sponsor I think has a product that's a really great idea. When it comes to healthcare, it's important to make sure you're getting your money's worth. So Crowdhealth is a flexible and affordable healthcare option without the hassle of insurance. If you go to joincrowdhealth.com/99, you can find out how Crowdhealth can help you save 40 to 60% healthcare costs each year. It's not health insurance. It's a modern way to pay medical expenses. What Crowdhealth is a community of people who are tired of paying into a broken system. So being in the Crowdhealth community saves you hundreds of dollars monthly and puts thousands of dollars in your pocket. Here's how it works. You use their app. You find nearly any doctor in the country with a quality ranking score. You scan the bill, you throw them away. Crowdhealth takes from there. You press a button to receive virtual care anytime, anywhere. How does it work? They get rid of the insurance middleman and they pass the savings to the members because 100% of your monthly membership pays for actual healthcare costs, which keeps the Crowdhealth community staying healthy while keeping more money in your pocket. And they're able to do this because it's a community of health conscious members. They've got a great offer for you guys. The first 6 months are just $99 a month. That's a saving of almost 50% off their standard pricing, a lot less than those high deductible plans. Go to joincrowdhealth.com/99. Use code WELCOME at sign up. That's joincrowdhealth.com/99 and use promo code WELCOME at sign up. Crowdhealth is not health insurance. It's a community powered alternative. Terms and conditions may apply.
I'm Dave Detman, also known as Dr. Gadget. I've got a new podcast called The Big Idea. And every week I talk to inventors and visionaries who made it big in their respective industries. We'll tackle weekly trending tech, provide inside tips for your success, and go deep dives on the latest and greatest innovations. And I know you're going to love this part. I'll also have plenty of free giveaways. Who doesn't love free stuff? So listen to and follow The Big Idea with me, Dr. Gadget, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast One, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's get back to the show. Let's talk about your campaign for Congress. You're running in New Hampshire. Are you working with the Free State Project?
And I'm actually, Free State Project is just a nonprofit for you to get there.
Yeah.
You choose whatever cause you want to fight for. So I am once I got there, I actually, I have lots of friends, of course, but I'm doing my own thing. I become the chair of my GOP committee. I basically volunteer for the job, but there was no committee. I was chair for 18 months.
Now you're chairman, Mal. Look at you. Now you're the chairman.
I don't want to be chairman, Mal.
Where's your little red book?
I know. It's called the Xi Jinping's little red app now. It's on your phone. It's not really a book anymore. Like if you're a party official in China, you're supposed to study that every day on your cell phone.
Oh, wait, are you serious? There's an app that's instead of the book?
Yes, a little red app.
Oh my God, I thought you were kidding.
Yes, no, I'm not kidding. It's not a real book anymore. You study the app, you pass the test, you get a promotion, you get a better social credit score, And I'm totally against that. I call the vaccine passport in the world right now, pushed by Western democracy countries. They are China's social credit system.
100%.
We have to actually stand up against that. So I also co-founded Aging American Coalition in New Hampshire. We have a Facebook page, New Hampshire Aging American Coalition, because I found out as minorities, we're supposed to be oppressed. We're supposed to be victims. And I said, no, we're going to speak for ourselves. We love America. We are living American dream. We don't want to condemn this country. And actually, we feel terrified to say Marx is taking over this country and taking over our classrooms. And the marginalized are taking away parental rights. So I thought, hey, if you want to do better community organizing, politics is local. Do it locally. So I've been doing all those business things for the past 2 years. And now I just got another hat to wear because I feel our federal government is out of control. Lots of spending, rhetorics, division, and censorship, and turn our respected government agencies into potential KGB or National Security Bureau people in China. That's how they treat the citizens now. So I feel like I have a bigger cause to fight, and I'm putting myself out there. It's not easy. Because I say that, there are lots of Chinese spies in this country. They can attack me, they can follow me, they can support my opponents, whatever that is. And the thing is, so I feel this is my calling. The time is now for me to do this. I need to wake up people to say what is going on in China, in the world, in the United States. What are the similarities between the Mao's Cultural Revolution I survived and today's American cultural Marxism revolution going on right now? I don't want to lose this country. I have no place to go. I don't know if you can go back to Ukraine or not, but I cannot go back to China.
I'm done running. I ran from New York and I'm not running anymore. I'm taking my stand here, and I'm sure you feel the exact same way. What are your thoughts about what was going on in Ottawa with the truckers in Canada?
How did Canada go so crazy? Yeah. It's like, I'm so happy to see people finally make a stand.
Yeah.
Because, Michael, if you have to take a medicine you don't want, what else they cannot do to you? If they're going to push you, put a QR code on your cell phone as a passport for your health, later, what else they cannot put on your cell phone to track you 24/7, like 1.4 billion Chinese who are subject to, and then they're brainwashed to even support that. Especially, Canada is our neighbors. What's going on there affect us too.
Oh, very much, yeah.
Yeah. So I support them. I support their movement to calling for freedom, end the mandate. It's time to end all COVID mandates. And we don't need the government permission to have our freedoms. Our rights come from our creator. So if the only way they can do is have a peaceful protest, then do it. Americans, I've been calling Americans should have a larger peaceful protest, but now we're behind the Canadian truckers and we're watching them carefully to say, it's time to make a stand. It is really time. I'm screaming out of my lungs to say that.
How can people contribute to your campaign and learn more?
I have a website, lilytangwilliams.com/Congress. Please donate if you like my messages. I'm the first Chinese woman now from PRC running for Congress as a Republican. And I have also social medias. I've been everywhere trying to teach, educate, especially our young people. And Facebook page, Lily for Congress, and Twitter, Lily for Liberty, YouTube, both Chinese, English. I have 2 channels. And I have Instagram called Lily Tang Williams. Share my videos and share my messages. And this is our country, and we cannot go anywhere else. I know that all the communists in the world say America is not the barrier, not the obstacle to their victories and control. And I don't care what name you give to them, globalists, socialists, communists, they're all same thing to me. They want to control us and tell us how to live our lives. And it's time we are united to fight back.
My high school was half Asian, and I know how to say 2 words in Chinese, ba guai and guai lo. That's
you
me.
know, guai lo, you are guai lo. My husband always say, you're the guai lo here, because guai lo means a foreign devil. In China, when you go to China, they call you foreign devil. And my husband said, you are foreign devil here. I am born American. But yeah, Lao Wai, or they call Lao Wai. Lao Wai is like, yeah. Well, we hope we can go to China. I cannot right now because I miss my families. I miss China, but I was threatened. Don't you ever want to come back to China?
Oh yeah,
I'm a traitor. I'm a black glass now.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with people ask me sometimes, are you worried about the North Korean government coming after you? And I go, they don't care about me. I'm an American. I'm already the devil. They worry about their own who leave and talk against them, because you're a much bigger threat to China than I would be if I was saying the exact same things, because you were there, you came from there. So you're speaking from personal experience.
I have people ask me, do not run for Congress or tone down my rhetorics against the CCP. I said, I can't. I said, I believe our motto, New Hampshire, live free or die. And it is time to have courage. And it is time to manage your own fear. They already made us live in fear of COVID for past 2 years. I wasn't afraid of COVID at all. I was afraid there's tyranny growing all over the world. I got COVID. I went to hospital. If I died, I would still stick to my principles. And I just gave a talk in Utah on my 2 cultural revolutions. One Chinese guy in his 30s came in to listen, paid $75. And he told all the people at the table, they are being brainwashed. And he said the Chinese do not elect their leaders because they're our father figures. Americans elect their leaders. Then he left after he recorded all my talk. He never come to say hi to me. So my Chinese human rights friend tell me, Lily, that's a spy. Came to follow my talk in Utah, a small town. So the more famous I become, I guess the more protection I will have. But meanwhile, we only got one life to live. We have to speak the truth. Like you said, Michael, we have no place to go. We have to stick around and fight until the last day.
Lily, we're running out of time. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
You are a great interviewer to ask lots of good questions, and especially the questions some people never asked me before. So I think communism well because your understanding of North Korea, and you were born in Ukraine. And, I think my stories, it's hard to summarize in 1 hour, of course, my whole life, my journey from China to here to New Hampshire. But I hope someday I will write a book. And also maybe I get all over the interviews in the country, let the world to hear my stories and messages. And I'm all about the messages. I'm not a Korean politician. So I think the only thing I'm elected right now is supervisor of checklist in my town. I'm a little like supervisor of checklist.
You are welcome.
This February on Pluto TV, we're putting the spotlight on iconic Black talent. Watch your favorite movies like Top 5, 48 Hours, and More Than a Game. And drop in to binge Black TV classics like The Bernie Mac Show and Moesha. Pluto TV has hundreds of channels and thousands more movies and TV shows, all for free. So download the Pluto TV app on your favorite streaming device and start watching today. Pluto TV, drop in, watch free.